This week on Storyboard, we are catching up with Saumya Rathor, category lead, Pepsi Cola, PepsiCo India. She's speaking about the Rise Up Baby trilogy, summer plans, new Pepsi logo and much more. We have Raymond Consumer Care CMO Pooja Sahgal to talk about the KamaSutra brand and how India's sexual wellness category has changed. We have Shachindra Nath, Vice Chairman and Managing Director, UGRO Capital, speaking about how tech and tech infrastructure is changing the MSME lending landscape in the country. Hello and welcome to Storyboard. I'm Shibani Gharat. This week on the show, I'm catching up with Saumya Rathor, category lead, Pepsi Cola, PepsiCo India. She's speaking about creating the Rise Up Baby trilogy with Ranveer, Yash and most recently released film with Samantha Ruth Prabhu and its impact on the consumers. PepsiCo also reported a double-digit growth in the beverage unit volume in the Indian market. What has been the contribution of cola in this? How are inflationary pressures expected to persist in 2023 and how is it impacting the marketing plans? Saumya also shares her take on the new Pepsi logo and is there a big campaign around in the pipeline? Let's find out. Saumya, welcome to CNBC TV 18.
Thank you for having me here, Shibani.
Yeah, it's been a good quarter and right at the start of it, we saw like 2 months ago, you launched Rise Up Baby, first with Ranveer Singh and now you have onboarded Samantha Ruth Prabhu. Tell us more about the campaign. How has it fared and worked so far for the brand?
I think, Shibani, it's the 125th year of Pepsi. So it was a very important landmark year for us. And we knew that whatever we had to do from a Pepsi perspective had to really elevate our storytelling. And over the last few years, we've had a great success in the form of swag. But this year, it was really important for us to elevate it to the next level. And our philosophy of Rise Up Baby really talks to this universal human truth that consumers feel. And that truth is all about the fact that consumers feel judged. And I think this is a generation that is constantly being judged, and they're also a generation that judges a lot, right? And I think Pepsi as a brand which stands for or represents the spirit of youth in a bottle, for us it was really important to talk to that anxiety or talk to that human truth, but talk in a manner which really elevates that for them, right? So just like the Pepsi bubble, we constantly rise up against all odds and against all pressures. So our philosophy for youngsters across India is that rise up against the judgment. The world is going to say everything and the world will say a lot to you, about you, but you just have to rise up. And I think the stars or the ambassadors that we have on the brand really embody that spirit. Like whether it is Ranveer. Like Ranveer is an actor which has been constantly, he's constantly been spoken about his clothes choices. Yeah. But he's very, very effortlessly himself and very audaciously himself. And even with Yash is a star who comes from a small town in Karnataka. But his stardom really defies the notion of boundaries in India. And even he represents this whole new India, which is all about, you might judge us, you might slot us, but we will always rise up against that. Yeah. And the last one is my favorite one, which is the Samantha campaign, because I feel that the boys were having a lot of fun with the campaigns and talking about judgments, but why should women not be at the forefront of it? And I'm a huge believer of the fact that women are judged constantly, right?
All the time, yeah.
All the time, whether it is about when they're getting married or what they're wearing or what time they're coming home or whether it's a girl's job or a man's job, they're constantly in that spotlight. And that spotlight is a very harsh spotlight, right? And Samantha is a warrior princess, right? And I feel that she has constantly faced a lot in her life, but she has risen up against anything that society has thrown at her.
Yeah, a lot has been spoken about cola versus other soft drinks. So if you can share with us, how does cola fare today in the consumer mind as compared to the other soft drinks, considering many are also opting for healthier choices when it comes to having their beverages?
I think that's a very interesting question. There are two things, and I'm going to answer it in two parts. Is cola an important category? I think it's a very important and a very relevant category. Is it a large category? It's a large category still, right? It's a recruiter category as well. So the first time consumer probably consumes a cold drink, in a high probability is going to be a cola. So when you go to a birthday party, the first cold drink that you'll probably taste would be a cola, right? Yeah. The second part is from a healthy options that you were alluding to. I think as a company, we really believe in positive choices and we really believe in giving consumers the optionality of choosing whatever their heart wants, right? So if they want something which is fun for them, we have Pepsi, which is full sugar, right? But if they want something that's good for them, or something that's better for them, right? So we have this another solid extension of Pepsi, which is Pepsi Black, which is what we call zero sugar. And in fact, I think if you notice all our campaigns, for the first time, we are actually showing both the products. So we call it the trademark strategy across all the campaigns, whether it's Ranveer, whether it's Yash, or whether it's Samantha. All of them have ended with both those optionalities for consumers.
Yeah. How does PepsiCo look at Cola's rebirth in the India market?
I think it's a very interesting play, right? Because I think India is a very competitive cola category, right? Most of the brands across the world, there are just 2 of them, right? But in India, is one of the only markets where there are three colas in that space. So now we are having a 4th player, and that 4th player comes with a lot of solid backing. But we'll see how it pans out, right? Right now, the early signs, what I have realized from a consumer perspective is that it's fine. There is nothing that we are stressing about. But yeah, we're going to be cognizant about it, and we're going to make sure that we keep playing our game.
Is it pushing you to tweak your strategy or do something?
Not at all.
Yeah.
For us, it's very important to be consumer centric, and like I said, that for us, it's consumer is the king. So we constantly are making sure that our offering and our choice is something which is in line with what the consumer really wants, and we are telling stories that the consumer really wants to listen to. Our products are also catering to what the consumer is telling us about our product, right? So we are very competition aware, but we are not very competition obsessed.
Saumya, these global macroeconomic pressures, how are they impacting your plans for Pepsi? And how are they pushing you to think differently when it comes to your own marketing?
I think what's important for us is to stay true to what we can really control and what we can't really control, right? So we have a product which has certain materials, and we are constantly trying to make sure that product goes to consumers in the most efficient manner, and consumers are aware of the positioning of the brand and communication, etc. Right? So we are trying to make sure that products are available at the right price point, at the right channels, and according to what the consumer really wants. Right? But apart from that, I think what we are trying to do is we are a little efficient with the way we are deploying media. And we are very, very careful about how we want to, reach those consumers. So we have a very balanced kind of an approach between both, impact mediums, because those are impact mediums. By impact mediums, I mean the ones that are more expensive. So we have a very balanced,
TV,
like TV. So we have a very balanced approach between what we want to do on TV and what we want to do on digital. And I think that's the way we are sort of controlling our spends.
How do you look at Pepsi's journey so far in the country, and how, according to you, the whole approach in marketing has evolved over the past many years?
I think Pepsi is a quintessential challenger brand, and it's a brand that's constantly been consistently disruptive, right? And I feel that over the last decade or so, we've seen a turnaround of Pepsi, which is something that we're extremely proud of. We've seen Pepsi really, come back from a culture perspective, right? Over the last few years, we've done some iconic disruptive campaigns. We have, consistently had our finger on the pulse of the generation. So if they wanted something from an OTT perspective, we did a Money Heist collaboration. If they wanted something from a technology perspective, we did deepfake. If they were spending time on short video formats, that's what we were doing, right? If they were listening to music, and Pepsi really strongly believes in music and dance, we've created some amazing summer anthems over the last 4 to 5 years. So I think Pepsi has, come back with a massive, massive bang. And I feel that I think this is the era of the challengers. Like, I feel that this is the era where comebacks are happening. And I think Pepsi believes in, being the front runner of that. So we've constantly pushed the boundaries, and I feel really proud of what the brand has really done so far.
And on that note, what's in store for the next few months?
I think it's going to be bigger and better, because we have some fantastic plans. I'm sure you would have seen the packaging reappraisal that's happening across the globe.
Yeah.
So we're going to come back with a massively refreshed visual identity.
Yeah. How do you look at that, actually, the new logo?
I love it. I think it's phenomenal.
It's vintage.
It's retro. It's got Pepsi in front and center.
Yeah.
And at the same time, it's retro, but it's got, some modern elements, like the colors are a lot more different and brighter. And I think it's going to stand out on the shelf.
What do you think it will do? How will it change?
Shibani, I feel that our packs are our biggest equity drivers. I feel that consumers, of course, our campaigns are great and consumers relate to it emotionally, but what they see on shelf is the pack. And I couldn't be more excited about this new refresh logo because the packs are going to look a lot more brighter and shinier. So it's the comfort of the same Pepsi, but revamped in a manner which, appeals to the Gen Z consumers.
And of course, there will be a communication around.
Of course, yeah.
There will the new logo.
Yeah, so all of us are now working towards that.
The big campaign is coming up.
Yeah, so that's going to be massive for us. So we're quite excited. But of course, I think what's important for us is to really build on Rise Up Baby and really establish that. So the next few months is all about how do you bring Rise Up Baby in cultural conversation, because we've done those 3 big thematics. We've got a song out, which has got some amazing number of views, I think 250 million views, which is quite insane for us. But I think now it's all about really embedding it in conversations and embedding it in culture.
All the best for that. Thank you so much. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you so much, Shibani. It was a pleasure.
It is time for a short break. On the other side, we have Raymond Consumer Care CMO Pooja Sahgal to talk about the KamaSutra brand and how has India's sexual wellness category changed. Welcome back. Godrej Consumer Products recently acquired the assets of Raymond Consumer Care, which included KamaSutra. On the show today, we have Raymond Consumer Care CMO Pooja Sahgal to talk about KamaSutra brand, one of the top Indian players in the sexual wellness segment. Sahgal sheds light on how the legacy brand has evolved, adopting new media and a tech-first mindset to appeal to the newer generations of consumers. And she also shares how India's sexual wellness category has changed with the trends.
Hello and welcome to Storyboard 18. Pooja, it's lovely to have you on the show.
Thanks so much for inviting me, Dilshad. It's a real pleasure to come here.
So straight off the bat, let me ask you this. How hard is it to talk about sex in a country where talking about sex is almost taboo? Your thoughts on the whole sort of dilemma that you probably face every day?
So actually, I took it as a reverse. I've always been a woman working with a lot of men in women-dominated categories. In the corporate world, still in marketing is pretty dominated by men. But it's one of the places where I feel as a woman I owe it to really lead the conversation, because one of our brand purposes is to make sure that we become democratic and include women in all the conversations that we are having about KamaSutra. And of course, I think overall broadly, there is definitely much more openness amongst the audience that we are talking to have these kind of conversations. So how do we really use tech and safe spaces to enable these conversations? And we launched something called the Metaverse Chatbot, where we actually say that the intermingling of technology as well as your brand purpose is allowing a lot of free-flowing conversations on a lot of the topics that we are having right now.
Condoms and deodorants, for instance, have been traditionally quite notorious.
Yes.
When it comes to their advertising, communication and marketing initiatives. There was always that issue of the objectification of women.
Yeah.
In commercials, for example. So how are you maneuvering that piece of the puzzle? How are you sort of shedding that sleeves and taking the conversation forward and making it more relevant for your audiences today?
So basically, I feel that, one of the key things is that women definitely have a far larger role to play. And, even we are looking at data when we meet consumers. So earlier, before I joined in, even research was not happening amongst women. But since I've come in, we're testing all our ads amongst women too. And we found out that from data that even while buying a condom, 50% of women have a choice. So when it comes to things like flavors, which is unique to the country, is pretty much led by women. So what we have done, if you've seen in our recent communication now, is actually the women who's really initiating the entire act of lovemaking. And the second thing that we're trying to do, we're not making like a pickup, categories of deos and condoms. We are making it in KamaSutra as a space where people actually have some sort of a relationship. And this is actually something that enables you to really cement your relationship. And, I'm just jumping the gun. So you see, even the book KamaSutra, for example, it is not only about positions. That's only one chapter. A large part of the book is all about how do you maintain, develop, and keep relationships with their paramour. So it's all about the art of seduction. It's all about the art of living well. It even tells you what not to do with a woman. So, broadly taking this entire gamut, we are making sure that we put women at the center of our communication. We put women at the center of our product innovation. And even in terms of media, we are not targeting men now. Our media plan is actually targeting both men and women. Women are just about definitely demanding, very strongly the need of the condom. So a lot of the technology innovations I see in condoms, like for example, skin, is really coming from women. They want to really feel it all. Or a lot of the innovative flavors are actually coming from women. So therefore, yeah, we're really embracing women and making sure, in fact, that women are actually leading the conversations and normalizing it. And the second thing I'll tell you, like, even if you see your second category, like we say condoms, but a big category is really booming is lubes, and the funny thing is 50% of lubes is actually coming from e-commerce. So women have really embraced e-commerce, and this category, I've read research is going to be almost equal to condoms. So it's growing at some 30-40% with almost 50% coming from this thing. So women are really demanding their pleasure.
But what are some of the highlight sort of numbers for you that that sort of gives us a sense of the size of the market and where it's headed? Where are the new growth markets coming from?
So I'll just say where the new growths are coming from. So definitely one thing we see is premiumization. So, when I first came in, they used to say a condom is a condom. But today, because of women, men, enabling relationships, people are demanding different need states. So there's a need state of long last, of, climax delay. There's a need state of thin. So I see this, now become 30-40% of the category, and it's outpacing growth. So one great thing is premiumization is really driving the adoption. Second thing that we are really seeing is even premiumization in flavors. So for example, first we had all these normal chocolate, strawberry. Now people are demanding more exotic flavors. Second thing is adoption of new categories. So, things like lubes, massage gels, and with the advent of e-commerce, these categories are really exploding. So whereas, most categories are looking at, Amazon, Flipkart, here we look at Blinkit and, these delivery services account for 30-40%. And the third is also, of course, this entire thing we call sexual toys, which is all your massages, which is something that we're aiming to go to, which again is a great way we are aiming for the couple to really get together and explore new avenues. And even things like, gifting. So earlier, you had, what do you really give people? But now people are coming up, like we've coming up with a lot of kits. So you had your honeymoon kit, but then you also have now, just making the conversation more normalized, your travel kit, your first aid kit. So basically just the entire fact of upgradation.
What are your total marketing spends? And, how much of that is TV, digital? What focus from the digital pie is in influencer marketing, for instance? I mean, how has that sort of changed over time for you?
So earlier, like, of course, it was almost 70-80% was TV. But this time actually 55% is digital, and I've kept 45% on TV. TV has a lot of restrictions in condom advertising. So definitely in GEC, you can only advertise post 10. But then you have this new OTT, you have YouTube, and even Jio IPL, where you can really reach the consumer at whatever time. So we continuously dominate on video because we know video is considered social media, but it's really where consumers, digest a lot of media. So if I look at that 55%, almost 50% of that goes in video. Then I have social media marketing, which is more your Instagram as well as Facebook. And then the remaining part is influencer marketing. So influencer marketing, and a part of the influencer marketing is also talking to some sexperts. And one thing that really works in this category is memes, surprisingly. So I wouldn't do memes, for example, in deodorants or makeup or whatever, but memes, again, when you make something that's taboo, a little funny and a little lighthearted, consumers sort of normalize that conversation and embrace it. And lastly, I think this category has to have innovation. So we at least park 10-15% of our budget in digital on innovation. So last time we did something with Bobble AI, where we basically did chat-based conversations. So anytime you're talking to, someone about a date or love or whatever, we used to, serve up relevant stickers. And then we minted those stickers into NFT. We also then did a chatbot, to have consumers continuously interact with us, where we could then, publish the most important ones on Instagram, lead it to a social marketing. And even now in IPL, we've gone back to doing this. So, wherever is relevant, how much ever tech innovation you can do, And one thing that we've done always on now, which is this, we've put a metaverse. So I know metaverse is not the most in thing anymore, but for a brand and category like us, it does provide a safe space to really talk about KamaSutra is. So this is more about building brand love and always on program, whereas TV, digital video is all about driving, your innovation.
It is time for a short break. On the other side, we have Shachindra Nath, Vice Chairman and Managing Director, UGRO Capital, speaking about how tech and tech infrastructure is changing the MSME lending landscape in the country. Welcome back. Small business lending platform UGRO Capital has recently launched a new film. In volatile times or otherwise, businesses often need funds for working capital or expansion or replenishing stock. And to address these needs, the new film speaks about the launch of their GrowX app. To tell us more about this, we are joined in by Shachindra Nath, Vice Chairman and Managing Director, UGRO Capital. Welcome to Storyboard.
Thank you, Shivani. Thank you for having me here.
First, let's begin the conversation speaking about the new film. Tell us about the genesis of it. How was it created? What was the thought? And what was your brief to the agency?
See, we have been trying, I think so we believe that we are in the era of what we call data tech lending in India, and especially for MSME financing. For over last 3 decades, small business and credit to them have been, something which has never been a main line for credit institution for a variety of reasons. But since the advent of, starting from DeMon with the advent of GST and multiple, what we call the India Stack 2, now giving an on-tap financing to a small business is possible. So we have been at it in creating a platform or a technology wherein, a small business can download an app and within minutes by using his GST and banking data can get a credit limit is the idea which we call the GrowX. And we have been thinking that how do we bring that to the market, because you continue to see multiple kinds of ad, but the innovation wherein we wanted to showcase that at the back end this complex data and technology and how does it disseminate the credit was the brief to the agency. So actually it took us almost 2 to 3 months for the creative idea, and that's why you see the film is very unique wherein we have created a what we call a funds island wherein you put a request and at the back end there is lot of things which are happening.
Yeah.
But the end result of that, the customer is getting a credit in few minutes.
Yeah, and objective is to reach out to maximum MSMEs as well. What is it that you are doing to reach out or spread awareness about UGRO Capital amongst MSMEs across the country, not just in large cities?
Yeah, so I think so it's obviously a mix of multiple things. Campaign is just one part of it. Obviously that establishes the brand. There is a lot of ground activity which are happening. So in roughly around 25 cities, there are vans which is going to small merchant and shop and motivating the customers to download it. But more importantly, this platform allows us to get integrated to large merchant bases. Think of, I won't name, think of a large marketplace which has a million merchants and who need financing to purchase the material. So we are also using this to get integrated to such ecosystem and then get the app downloaded. So I think so what we call the explosion of credit. You have seen a journey of Bajaj in consumer finance, wherein it grew from 8,000 crore in 2007 to now 2,50,000 plus crores. I think so that expansion of credit for a small business is here to stay, and we are playing a small role in that.
And how is tech and tech infrastructure, let's say, changing this whole lending landscape for small businesses in the country, or will change it in the coming days?
Today you walk in a Chroma store and you want to buy a fridge or a TV, you don't need to have money in your purse.
Correct.
Right? You can buy it in 10 minutes time by just giving your mobile number, and everything happens at the back end, you don't know.
Yeah. But business is more complex than that.
Yes
than
and no.
Making just a purchase.
Yes and no, both. So today think of a small business which is getting an order of 10 lakh rupees. He needs 7 lakh rupees right then and there to purchase the material, process it and deliver the order. But that 7 lakh rupees of credit can take him roughly around 30, 40, 50 days. That is the time in which he has to deliver the material.
Yeah.
Now the technology, and more so the data, is enabling us to do that. Because earlier if you go to a customer and say I want to give you a credit, he had neither to showcase you his cash flow, everything was in an informal economy, nor he had good balance sheet, so it was very difficult for lenders to assess. Now when we do it now, when you download the turnover data from GST, when you take the banking data from the banking system, when you fetch its business bureau you can create an algorithm wherein, on tap you can say yes and no. So within minutes, if you have an order, you can finance. So government has an e-marketplace which is called GEM, which is a very large, all public sector banks do procurement through GEM marketplace. We were participant in GEM Sahay. So now any order which comes to an MSME on GEM platform, order-based financing happens on tap. So you'll see this transformation which we call India's small business journey moving towards consumer finance. When you need it, you get it, is what we think will happen.
Thank you so much. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you so much, Shivani, for having me here.
With that, it's a wrap on Storyboard this week. You can catch all of our content on Facebook, Twitter and YouTube. Thanks for watching. We will be back same time next week. See you soon.